Here's why I don't really like lower body exercises that are one-legged. Now, when we talk about strength training that respects the gait cycle, the walking and running pattern, it might seem like it makes sense to do one-legged stuff because after all, we hit the ground with one leg at a time when we're running. However, we cannot possibly recreate all of the forces of running if we are balancing on one leg trying to strength train. Because when we move forward, especially when we're moving fast, we're not just driving down to resist gravity, and we're not just driving back to propel ourselves forward, but there's also an element of driving laterally toward the outside. Why? Because the faster we go, the more rotational forces are at play. And if we don't have lateral stability around the hip, then as we hit the ground, we're just going to keep rotating and flop to the side that we're already going. If we can develop lateral stability in the hip, we're able to resist that rotation and then transfer force to the other side. And this is why in One-of-a-Kind Fitness, lateral stability is one of the most important attributes and abilities that we develop. So now when we talk about strength training, if I'm balancing on one leg in a pistol squat or a shrimp squat or whatever, yes, I can drive up and down, and I might even be able to drive forward a little bit. But if I try to drive to the outside, I'm just going to fall over or fall out of position. This is especially important in the lowering phase because as I lower, if I can't drive to the outside, my pelvis is super unstable and I'm not training myself to be able to handle these forces at all. Now it's a little bit better if we're doing like split stance stuff or lungy stuff because at least we can control the pelvis in this direction, meaning that if I'm working on this leg, I can sort of drive this forward and stop myself from dumping down and back into the pelvis, but I still can't drive this way without having to fall over and catch myself with the other foot. So this is why the one unilateral lower body exercise I really like is the One-of-a-Kind Fitness single leg squat. Why? Because we use a wall or a bench or some surface that we can use our hand on to counteract our foot and let our foot drive it in all of the forces that it needs to drive, especially toward the outside. So now if I were to get myself into a squat and if I wanted to be able to drive this way, I have my hand to support me, and as I let this leg go, I now have stability to stay even and really work the glute and all the co-contractions in the leg, driving the forces that I need to be able to work on to actually resist and produce the forces I need to run. So if you think that you're helping your hip stability by doing pistols or shrimp squats, think again.